There is a version of your life where everything has already gone right. The money came, the opportunity found you, the love you desired chose you. But here's the truth no one tells you. You're not waiting for that moment to happen. You're remembering it. Because what if your future isn't in front of you, behind you? What if everything you've been trying to manifest already happened yesterday? And the only reason you don't see it yet is because you haven't stepped into the memory of it. Today, you're about to unlock a method so simple, yet so powerful, that it collapses time itself, not by doing more, not by forcing reality, but by shifting one thing, your assumption. There is a subtle but life-changing difference between living towards something and living from it. Most people spend their entire lives in pursuit. They are always reaching, always striving, always trying to get somewhere else. Their thoughts sound like this: I will be happy when, I will feel secure when, I will finally relax when. And in that state, they unknowingly place their desire on a distant horizon, forever ahead, always just out of reach. But the truth is, what you seek cannot be found by moving toward it. It is only realized when you move into it. To live from the end means you mentally and emotionally step into the version of yourself who already has what you desire. You are no longer the one trying to manifest wealth. You are the one who already experienced it. You are no longer hoping for love. You are the one who is already loved. You are no longer chasing success. You are the one who has already achieved it. This is not imagination for entertainment. This is identity transformation, because your outer world does not respond to what you want. It responds to who you believe you are. If you continue to identify as someone who is on the way, your reality will continue to reflect the journey. There will always be steps, delays, obstacles, because that is the state you are occupying. But when you shift your identity to the one who has already arrived, something remarkable happens. The need to chase disappears. The pressure fades, and a quiet certainty replaces the restless desire. You begin to think differently. You begin to feel differently. You begin to carry yourself differently. And without forcing anything, your reality starts to mirror that inner shift. Living from the end is not about pretending or denying your current circumstances. It is about no longer giving them authority. What you see right now is only the result of past assumptions. It is old news. It has nothing to do with who you are choosing to be now. So instead of reacting to the present, you define yourself by the end. Ask yourself this: if it were already done, how would I feel? How would I think? How would I move through my day? Would you still doubt? Would you still overthink? Would you still search for validation? No, you would feel calm, certain, complete. And that feeling, that state is the key. Because when you live from that place consistently, it becomes natural. And once it feels natural, it becomes your reality. You don't need to force belief. You simply return to the end again and again until it feels like home. This is where most people go wrong. They visit the end briefly, feel good for a moment, and then return to their old state of waiting and wanting. But transformation does not come from occasional alignment. It comes from persistence. You must remain there, even when there is no evidence, even when the world shows you the opposite, even when doubt tries to pull you back, because the one who has it already does not look for proof. They are the proof. So stop measuring your progress by what you see. Stop asking if it's working. Stop looking for signs. Instead, ask yourself one simple question: am I living from the end or chasing it? And if the answer is chasing, gently bring yourself back. Back to the feeling, back to the identity, back to the version of you who already experienced it. Because the moment you truly live from the end is the moment everything begins to move toward you. Time, as most people understand it, feels fixed, linear, and unchangeable. It appears as though events must unfold step by step. First the effort, then the process, and finally the result. This belief keeps people trapped in waiting, always measuring their progress by the clock, always wondering when things will finally happen. But what if time is not the force controlling your reality, and instead your assumption is? The truth is, time does not create outcomes, your state of being does. What you consistently assume to be true has far more power than any timeline. In fact, the moment you fully accept something as already done with yourself, you begin to dissolve the very idea of waiting. Time starts to lose its grip. The gap between now and then collapses because internally there is no longer a separation. This is why two people can desire the same thing, yet experience completely different outcomes. One remains stuck in when will it happen, while the other quietly knows it is already done. And that inner knowing, that assumption, is what shifts everything. To assume is not to hope. It is not to wish or to fantasize. It is to accept something as real, as fact, as already true. When you assume correctly, you are not looking forward to an event. You are remembering it. You are standing in the emotional aftermath of its completion. And in that state, time becomes irrelevant. Think about it. If something truly happened yesterday, you wouldn't be checking the clock, wondering when it will arrive. You wouldn't be anxious or impatient. You would feel settled, certain, at ease. That is the state that overrides time. Because reality does not respond to the hours you wait, it responds to the conviction you hold. Most people unknowingly delay their desires because they keep affirming time. They say, it will take time. It's not here yet. I just need to be patient. And in doing so, they reinforce the very delay they wish to escape. They keep their desire locked in the future, always approaching but never arriving. But when you drop the idea of time altogether and replace it with assumption, everything changes. You no longer ask when. You no longer look for progress. You no longer measure anything. You simply accept. And that acceptance is what allows reality to reorganize itself in ways you cannot predict. Sometimes it will feel sudden, unexpected, almost unreal, as if things shifted overnight. But in truth, it wasn't sudden at all. It was the moment your assumptions became dominant over your doubt, the moment your inner reality became more real to you than the outer one. That is when time collapses. This does not mean you control how things happen or dictate every step. It means you remove resistance. You stop interfering with the process by constantly checking, questioning, and waiting. You allow your assumption to do what it naturally does, express itself. Because every assumption carries within it the pathway to its own fulfillment. You don't need to figure it out. You don't need to rush it. You don't need to force anything into place. All you need to do is remain faithful to the feeling that it is already done. Even if the world shows you something different, even if nothing appears to be changing, even if time seems to pass without evidence, because the one who truly assumes does not go back and forth, they do not waver. They stand firm in the unseen, knowing that what they have accepted within must, without exception, appear. So release your grip on time. Stop counting days. Stop asking when. Stop placing your desire somewhere ahead of you. Bring it here. Bring it now. Assume it is done. And let that assumption override everything else. Because once you truly do, time has no choice but to follow your lead. There is a hidden language that reality responds to, and it is not your words, not your actions, and not even your thoughts alone. It is your feeling. You can repeat affirmations all day. You can visualize endlessly. You can say all the right things and follow every technique. But if the feeling behind it is one of lack, doubt, or longing, nothing truly changes. Because the outer world does not respond to what you say, it responds to what you feel to be true. Feeling is the gateway between your inner world and your outer experience. It is the signal you send, the command you give, the quiet declaration of what you accept as reality. Most people misunderstand this. They believe feeling is just an emotional reaction to what is happening around them. They think they must first see something before they can feel it. So they wait. They wait for success to feel confident. They wait for love to feel fulfilled. They wait for results to feel secure. But that is the reverse of how reality actually works. You are not meant to feel because it happened. You are meant to feel so that it happens. The feeling comes first. Always. When you generate the feeling of already having what you desire, when you truly step into that emotional state, you are no longer asking for it. You are no longer reaching. You are embodying it. And that embodiment is what shifts everything. Because feeling is not just emotion, it is identity in motion. If you feel abundant, you are no longer someone chasing money. If you feel loved, you are no longer someone searching for validation. If you feel successful, you are no longer someone waiting for proof. You have already moved. And once you move internally, the external world must follow. This is why a single moment of genuine feeling is more powerful than hours of forced repetition. You don't need to convince your mind with endless words. You need to impress your being with a state that feels real. That is the secret. But here is where most people struggle. They try to force the feeling. They try to act happy or pretend it's real, while deep inside they are still questioning, still doubting, still waiting. And that inner contradiction cancels the effect, because the feeling must be natural, not forced. So, how do you access it? You return to simplicity. You stop trying to make something happen, and instead you ask yourself one honest question. If it were already done, how would I feel right now? Not how would you act, not what would you say. How would you feel? Would there be relief, peace, gratitude, a quiet sense of certainty? Find that feeling and rest in it. You don't need to hold it perfectly all day. You don't need to be intense or dramatic about it. Even a soft, subtle shift is enough because reality responds to authenticity, not effort. Let it be gentle, let it be real, and most importantly, let it be consistent because the feeling you return to again and again becomes your dominant state and your dominant state becomes your life. At first, it may feel unfamiliar, even unnatural. That's only because you've been practicing a different feeling for so long. But with repetition, this new state begins to feel normal, comfortable, true. And once it feels true, it is only a matter of time before it appears, not because you forced it, but because you aligned with it. So stop trying to change your world from the outside. Go to the source. Go to the feeling. Because the moment you truly feel it as real is the moment you step through the gateway. And on the other side of that gateway, your reality is already waiting. There is one habit that silently keeps people stuck, even when they know exactly what to do. And that habit is this: they keep checking the outside world for confirmation. They look at their current circumstances, their bank account, their relationships, their progress, and they measure everything based on what they see right now. If it looks unchanged, they feel discouraged. If it looks opposite to what they desire, they begin to doubt. And in that moment, they unknowingly return to the very state they are trying to leave behind. But here is the truth that must be understood. What you are seeing right now is not your present creation. It is your past assumption made visible. The outer world is always delayed. It is always echoing something that has already been accepted within you. So when you react to it, when you give it authority, you are responding to something that is already finished. And in doing so, you repeat it. This is why ignoring present evidence is not denial. It is wisdom. You are not pretending the world does not exist. You are simply refusing to let it define you. Because if you continue to let your current circumstances tell you who you are, you will never step into who you want to be. The world will always try to convince you to stay the same. It will show you reasons to doubt. It will present facts, logic, and visible proof that your desire is not here yet. And if you accept those appearances as final, you lock yourself into them. But you were never meant to live as a reaction to appearances. You were meant to direct them. And you do that not by fighting the world, but by changing your inner position. When you choose to assume that your desire is already fulfilled, you must understand that the outer world may not immediately reflect that. There may be a gap, a period where nothing seems to change, or even where things seem to contradict your assumption. This is the test, not a test of effort, but a test of identity. Will you remain as the one who knows it is done, or will you fall back into being the one who is waiting? Because the moment you react emotionally to what you see, you step out of the end and back into the old state. But if you remain unmoved, if you hold your inner knowing steady, something powerful begins to happen. You detach from appearances. You stop giving them meaning. You no longer see them as obstacles, but as fading echoes of what used to be. And that detachment is what allows new conditions to form. Think of it like this. If you planted a seed, you would not dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You would trust that something is happening beneath the surface, even if you cannot see it yet. In the same way, your assumption is the seed. And your refusal to react to the current reality is what allows it to grow. This does not mean you ignore your responsibilities or act carelessly. It simply means you no longer let the external world dictate your internal state. You remain loyal to what you have accepted within. You remain faithful to the feeling that it is already done, even when there is no proof, even when others doubt, even when your senses tell you otherwise, because you understand something deeper. That reality is not created by what you see, but by what you persist in feeling and believing. So let the world say what it wants. Let appearances come and go. Do not argue with them. Do not fight them. Do not try to fix them. Just return to your inner knowing. Return to the end. Return to the version of you for whom it is already complete. Because when you stop reacting to what is and remain grounded in what you know is done, what is has no choice but to change. There is a moment after you have imagined, after you have felt it real, after you have stepped into the end, where everything becomes quiet. No signs, no immediate change, no visible confirmation. And this is where most people stop, not because they failed, but because they did not persist. Postponement is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. It is the quiet discipline of remaining loyal to your inner reality, even when the outer world has not yet caught up. It is not force, it is not struggle. It is simply continuing to be the one who already has it, again and again, moment after moment. Many believe that one powerful visualization or one strong feeling should be enough. And while a single moment of true alignment is incredibly potent, it must be sustained. Not perfectly, not rigidly, but consistently. Because your reality is not shaped by what you do once, it is shaped by what you return to. If you imagine your desire fulfilled tonight, feel it deeply, and then tomorrow wake up doubting, questioning, and reacting to the world, you have shifted states. And the state you occupy most often is the one that hardens into fact. This is why persistence is everything. It is the gentle return, the quiet decision, over and over again, to remain in the end. You don't fight your doubts. You don't panic when negative thoughts appear. You simply notice and return to the feeling, return to the knowing, return to the identity of the one who already experienced it. At first, this may feel like effort, like you are reminding yourself again and again. But over time, something shifts. The state becomes familiar, natural, almost automatic. And that is when it begins to stabilize. Because persistence is not about intensity, it is about normalization. When your desired state feels normal to you, it no longer feels like something you are trying to achieve. It feels like who you are. And once it becomes who you are, reality has no choice but to reflect it. But understand this: Primat will be tested not by some external force, but by your own old patterns. The urge to check for results, the temptation to react to circumstances, the habit of returning to doubt. These are not obstacles. They are invitations to choose again, to either go back to the old self or remain as the new one. And every time you choose the new self, even in the smallest way, you strengthen it. Even when nothing seems to be happening, something is happening. Beneath the surface, your assumption is taking root. Your inner world is reorganizing, and unseen movements are aligning to bring your reality into form. But if you stop, if you abandon the state too soon, you interrupt that process. So do not measure your progress by what you see. Measure it by your ability to remain calm, remain certain, remain as the one who already has it, even if it takes days, even if it takes weeks, even if time tries to convince you otherwise. Because persistence is not about waiting longer, it is about not leaving the state. And the one who does not leave inevitably arrives. So stay there, stay in the feeling, stay in the knowing, stay in the end. Because what you persist in must, without exception, become your reality. At the core of everything you experience, there is one defining force: your identity. Not the name you carry, not your past, not your circumstances, but the quiet, persistent concept you hold about yourself. The version of you that you accept as true, without effort, without question. That is what shapes your entire reality. Most people try to change their lives by changing actions. They try to do more, fix more, improve more. But no matter how much they do, they often find themselves returning to the same patterns, the same results, the same limitations. Why? Because they are trying to act differently while still being the same person. And reality does not respond to what you do occasionally, it responds to who you are consistently. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, you will find reasons to struggle. If you identify as someone who is overlooked, you will experience situations that reflect that. If deep down you believe you are not yet successful, your world will continue to mirror that belief, no matter how hard you try to prove otherwise. This is why identity is everything. It is the root. And until the root changes, the outer expression remains the same. But here is the shift that changes everything. You are not locked into your current identity. You can choose it right now, not by force, not by pretending, but by acceptance. When you decide to assume a new identity, you are not becoming something new. You are selecting a version of yourself that already exists and stepping into it. And the moment you begin to think from that identity, feel from it, and view the world through it, your reality begins to rearrange itself to match. Because the world is not separate from you, it is an extension of you. So if you change the concept of yourself, you change the lens through which everything is experienced. Ask yourself, Who am I being right now? Not what are you doing? Not what are you hoping for? Who are you being? Are you the one who is still waiting for things to happen? Or are you the one for whom it has already happened? Because these are two completely different identities, and they produce completely different realities. The one who is waiting feels uncertain, looks for signs, reacts to circumstances, and constantly checks for progress. The one who already has it feels calm, secure, grounded, and moves through life with quiet confidence without needing proof. And here is the key. You do not become that person when your desire manifests. Your desire manifests when you become that person. This is where true transformation happens. Not when something changes outside of you, but when something shifts within you so deeply that you no longer recognize your old self. You no longer think like them. You no longer react like them. You no longer see the world the same way. Because you are not them anymore. You are the one who has already experienced what they were hoping for. And from that identity, everything feels different. Opportunities appear differently. People respond to you differently. Even challenges feel different because they no longer define you. This is not about acting or forcing behavior. It is about embodying a truth that may not yet be visible, but is fully real within you. And when that inner identity becomes stable, when it feels natural, normal, unquestioned, it becomes your baseline, your new reality. So stop trying to change your life piece by piece. Go to the source. Charm the one who is experiencing it. Step into the identity of the version of you who already has it, already lived it, already became it, and remain there. Because once you truly become that person within, there is no other outcome possible. Reality will reflect you, not the old you, but the one you chose to be. So now you understand. There is nothing to chase, nothing to force, nothing to wait for because it is already done. Right now, in this very moment, you stand at the edge of a choice. To continue living as the one who is waiting, or to become the one who remembers. Remember the success. Remember the love. Remember the moment it all worked out. Let it feel real. So real that doubt has no place to stand. Because once you accept it, within world outside has no choice but to follow. Time will bend, reality will rearrange. And what once felt impossible will feel inevitable, not because you made it happen, but because you finally accepted that it already did. If this message spoke to you, carry it with you. Return to it. Live it. Feel it again and again until it becomes your natural state. And if you're ready to go deeper into this way of thinking, make sure you stay connected. Because the more you understand this, more effortlessly your reality begins to change. Thank you for being here.